Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Czech once again, and this is yet another of the beers that I brought back with me from my recent trip over there. But this time we're going to have a look at something a little bit more traditional, and if memory serves me correctly, this brewery is apparently the best selling Czech brewery across the world. They've got huge exports actually, so this is a beer that is quite recognisable. So for this one we're going to go to Velkopopovicky Kozel, and we're having a taste of the Kozel Cerny today. So this one comes in at 3.8%. The brewery of course is recognisable for their goat symbol, but it comes in at 3.8%, and this one is a sort of Dunkel type beer. Like, it's kind of similar to the German Dunkels if you like. So in Czech they've got the Svetli, which is like a light lager. They've got the Cerny, which is a kind of slightly darker lager, kind of similar to the Dunkels, and then I've found you've got the Tomavis as well, and it does seem to vary a little bit as to exactly what a Tomavi is. Some of them have been quite sweet and malty, whereas other ones have been more like a kind of German Schwarzbier if you like. But the thing overall that's really impressed me with the Czech traditional beers is the malty qualities. I really love that kind of typical smoothness, that sort of trademark smoothness that you get from a lot of the Czech malty beers. This one apparently is brewed using 4 varieties of malts, so I think this is one that I really am going to quite enjoy. I don't think I actually tried this when I was over in Czech, so looking forward to this as I say, and I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. It is cool to be able to review something a little bit more traditional from the Czech Republic of course as well, so we'll see how we get on. But anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do from Velkopopovicky Kozel, if I can pronounce that correctly. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Czech beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Velkopopovicky Kozel then. So this brewery are based in Velkopopovice, which is a little town about 25 kilometres to the southeast of Prague. So the first historical mention of the brewery comes from the 14th century, but the brewery in its current form originates from the 19th century when it was bought by František Ringhofer, who was a really successful entrepreneur, and he was also the mayor of Smíchov as well. But the brewery was built in 1875, and the first batch of Kozel beer had been brewed the previous year in 1874. But the brewery was majorly reconstructed at the turn of the 20th century, and at this time the output was around 90,000 hectolitres. The brewery survived the First World War on a restricted production sort of packet if you like, and then it began to grow again between the wars, but during the Second World War it was of course again restricted in its production to save materials and things like this. Following the Second World War though, like most of the breweries, I think pretty much all of them actually in the Czech Republic when communism came, the brewery was nationalised, and it suffered from a shortage of workers, and this was solved by hiring women for the first time in the company. There was a period in the brewery's history where the bottling was completely handled by women, but I think the ratio of men to women in this brewery was always pretty good actually in terms of working. So this is one of the first breweries that got women into working from what I can gather, or one of the first major breweries that did it. Quite a few of the small breweries of course, the wives would often help out and things like that in the brewery. But the brewery also claimed to have been the pioneers of the tank brasserie as well, which was basically where they had trucks that used to take the beer around in a big massive tank and people could go and drink it, which was pretty cool. But the brewery once again became an independent company in 1991, and they became a public limited company in 1992. But in 2002 they merged with Radagast and also Pilsner Urquell as part of SAB Miller, and in 2016 they were sold on to Asahi from Japan, and they are still under the guidance of Asahi today from what I understand. But the name Kozel and the goat emblem can actually be traced back to the First World War. There was a lot of competition at that time, and Emanuel Ringhofer basically wanted to sort of distinguish the brewery in some way, and originally at that point they were brewing a beer that was called the Kozel, which translates into English as a male goat basically. It was a local term for a male goat, or a billy goat as some people might call it. But the emblem was designed by a French painter who was basically staying in Velkopopovicky at the time, and he was really impressed with the hospitality and just how warm the Czech people were actually, and so he decided to paint this goat symbol for the brewery as as a thank you basically for his time in the town, and it was really cool. They've used it ever since basically, but the brewery have had a live mascot since the 1930s apparently, and since the 1970s the goats at the brewery have been called Olda after the original caregiver for them. So it's quite cool that they've been able to kind of keep that tradition, if you like. And if you go around the different traditional Czech breweries, if you like, a lot of them have got some really interesting stories from the communist times during the Czech Republic. You know, Pilsner Urquell managed to save their original Czech kettles and things like that, and one of the guys there nearly got himself into trouble for complaining to the communists when they were going to take these away, saying that they wanted to replace them with stainless steel. But you know, a lot of the breweries in Czech are quite unique for that, because they have these interesting stories from the communist period. But it's really cool to see that a lot of them have survived, and it's cool to see the old kind of traditional brands like this. But yeah, like I say, very, very interesting brewery. One of the most popular Czech breweries, in fact. And they've got a few different beers. They've got the Svetli, which is their kind of lighter lager. They've got the 11, which was a slightly stronger lager than that. The Premium, which I think is just, that's their kind of main export beer. They've got this guy here, which is the Cerny. They've got the Rizhani, which is, I think that one was supposed to be somewhere between a sort of Svetli and a Cerny. It was somewhere in the middle of those. And they also have the Florian, which is quite a dark beer. Apparently that one is a special edition. So hopefully I can review some more of those for you at a later stage, but this was the only one I was able to fit in my case to bring back. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, check out the brewery website in the description below, and you can read up about what was going on at the brewery. But let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one then. There you can see the goat enjoying his nice kind of Cerny Kozel there. As I said, 3.8% beer. This one is brewed with 4 different types of malts apparently. There you can see the little top label. I'm just checking that you can see that on the camera control. And he is also on the bottle cap as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, 3.8% Cerny beer, which this one is quite similar to a German Dunkel, of course. It's a little bit lower in alcohol, right enough. Most of the German ones tend to be around like 4.8, 5%, so this one is a little bit lighter than that. But let's get it out and see how we get on. So yeah, nice smoky opening then, and we'll get it out and into the glass. So yeah, pretty much pouring the colour that you would expect it to. It looks really nice. So as you can see, this guy has poured a really nice dark sort of I would say it's a nice dark sort of chestnutty colour, that one. There's a solid kind of half finger of a frothy beigey tan head on this one. You can smell some of these lovely caramelized malts to this beer as well. This smells really, really nice. But there's 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass there, and quite a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, it pretty much looks exactly as you would expect a sort of Dunkel beer to look. But as I say, it's a Cerny, it's the Czech version, the Cerny. But if you shine the light through this, it does come across as a little bit ruby. I'm not sure how well you can see it on the camera, but this beer does actually have a good bit of transparency to it, but probably on the camera you're not going to be able to see that just because of the colour of it. But yeah, really nice looking beer, this one, and as I say, you can smell some of those nice kind of those nice malty qualities coming off it as you open up. But let's take a closer look at that aroma then. Oh yeah, so with this one, there's a nice sort of dark brown sugar quality to this one. It's quite a sort of syrupy one. There's almost a little bit of a kind of, not quite honey, but there's just a little bit of a lighter kind of caramel to this one as well. Definitely. It definitely, the brown sugars are a little bit more prominent. I always talk about the Dunkels, and I always love it with the German Dunkels, like Augustiner and all these kind of things. I always like that, how you can pick out the little kind of niches. There are, you know, it's a similar style of beer, but they've all got their little niches, whether they lean to the toasty side and the caramel side and things like this. The aroma of this one, for me, is definitely, it's definitely quite a sweet one, this, but it's got a nice bit of that darker brown sugar in there. It's not quite treacle, but it's just a nice, big, thick, sort of syrupy thing that comes out of this beer. But yeah, nice, a lot of brown sugar in there, like I was saying. There is a bit of a brown bready quality in there, and it's a little bit toasty to some degree as well. Definitely a bit of biscuit coming out of this one. Maybe a little touch of a kind of nutty note to it as well. But there's some of the kind of noble hops there. I would assume they've used Jatets hops in this, or Sats hops, however you want to name them. So it's got a little bit of that earthiness. There's a little touch of grassiness to it as well. And you can pick out a little bit of a kind of sort of candied red fruit. This one, as I always say, it reminds me of those little heart-shaped sweets that you get in the Haribo Star Mix. It's got a little bit of that kind of candied, slightly strawberry note to it actually. It's not quite figs, I would say, but it's definitely got a little bit of that slightly candied red fruity note to it. But it's definitely, the brown sugars in this come across really nicely. And it's got a little bit of that kind of almost brown bready quality that you expect. But let's have a taste of this one then. So this one is the Kozel Cerny from Velkopopovicky Kozel in Velkopopovicky, just outside of Prague in the Czech Republic. This is one of the more difficult breweries to pronounce actually. But let's get stuck into this beer then. Slanja, skål, na zdraví. Yeah, it's actually, what I would say about this is it's quite a bit more bready than I was expecting it to be from the aroma. I did expect it to be a little bit sweeter than this. But yeah, it's a nice beer. It's a nice easy drinker, this one actually, and definitely as your palate kind of opens up to it a little bit more, the flavours, the flavours do kind of diversify a little bit, so you can feel that nice bready quality that just blankets the middle of your palate there. And as you go a bit further into the aftertaste with this one, you do start to get a little bit more of that grainy quality there. It is a sort of brown, sort of wholemeally kind of bread flavour that you get to the base of this one. Right in the middle of the palate there is a little bit of caramel there. It's not quite as dark as I was thinking it would be. I thought there would be a really sort of rich caramelly flavour in the middle of this one, but as I say, it really does lean towards that bready side of things, and that's what I've said about Czech beer since I started doing the reviews, if you like. The Czech malt is really distinctive and smooth. It's got this really distinctive bready character to it. And that definitely kind of shines through in this beer. I would say the sort of caramelly, biscuity flavours, they come out quite a bit at the start actually. And then the beer really starts to move and lean towards the. It really starts to lean a little bit more towards the kind of biscuity, caramelly things toward again at the end. But yeah, as I say, nice sort of brown bready base to this one. A little bit of sweet caramel in the middle of the palate. As you go further out towards the sides of the tongue, you've got a little bit of the kind of biscuity, grainy kind of notes coming out the beer as well. But yeah, it's really nice. I mean, towards the front of the palate, there is a little bit of an almost woody quality to this one. It definitely has a little bit of a woody note towards the front of the palate there. It's almost just got it's almost like a little bit of a woody spice or something like that, which is quite interesting. But I like how this one goes together. As I say, it's lighter in alcohol than I'm used to with the German Dunkels. But it is quite a nice beer, this one, so have a go at it. If you're a fan of the German Dunkels, like Augustiner Dunkel and all of these kind of things, then have a taste of this one and see what you think of it. It's nice. It's a little bit more bready than some of the German ones, right enough. But in terms of the hoppy side of things, then in the back corners of the palate, you've got a little bit of earthiness there. It's a kind of sweeter earthiness, like the noble hops, of course. As you come further forward, there's maybe a little touch of a herbal quality there, but then just towards up the front sides of the palate, you've got a little bit of a slightly floral note. Around the very front curve of the palate, you get a little bit of a lighter kind of grassy thing going on, and of course, just behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you get that little oily bubble where those nice, juicy, fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And for me, the fruits are actually a little bit more prominent than I was expecting compared with the aroma. You've definitely got a little bit of a kind of almost figgy flavour coming out of this one. There's just a little touch of that, and it has that sort of candied red fruit element that I was talking about as well, just like that sort of slightly candied strawberry flavour that you get from the little heart sweets in Haribo Star Mix. But for me, this one, it's nice how it all balances together. It's interesting because I'm just noticing at the front of my palate there's almost a little bit of a kind of slightly ashy quality coming out of this one, which is interesting. I must be talking rubbish because it's gone away again. Maybe you sometimes get wee things like that. But yeah, the towards the front of the palate, there's definitely just behind where that little fruity quality comes out, you can definitely pick up a little touch of an almost woody flavour to this one, which is quite interesting. But you know, this beer, it really is quite similar to the German style Dunkels, and maybe that's the difference. I don't know if the Cerny is more like a German Dunkel and the Tamavi is a little bit more like a Schwarzbier, because as I say, I have had some Tamavis that have been quite sweet, kind of similar to that, to be honest. But for this one, for this beer, it is a really nice one. If you like the German Dunkels like Augustiner, Hackerpschor and all of these kind of things, then you definitely will enjoy this one. So have a go at it for yourself and see what you think. It's really nicely done. That it's a bit more of a kind of bready sort of Dunkel beer, this one, more than anything. But that's what the Czech beers, as I say, that's what I've really noticed about them. They've got a lovely smooth malty character, and this one is another one that shows that once again. In terms of the mouthfeel, then I would say mid-bodied beer, carbonation's really smooth. Yeah, smooth carbonation. The mouthfeel to this one leans a little bit more towards the wet side of things. There's a little touch of an oily character to it, which brings out some of the caramel flavours, but mainly wet more than oily. There's a little touch of hoppy bitterness to this one, nothing that's going to blow your head off, of course. The malt base is quite smooth, but there's a little touch of sweetness to it, like I was saying, and there's a little bit of a juicy fruity note there. As you go into the aftertaste, really, it's a little bit of that earthiness that's kind of sitting there, and the sort of brown bready notes, and some of the caramel, and a little bit of that fruity note too. But overall, really nice beer, and I'm glad that I was able to review this one for you. So yeah, it's been really cool to review this. It's cool to find another country that's doing these sort of Dunkel beers well, because Peter the Clueless Drinker and I, we've talked about this. And it's a style that we really both love, actually, the sort of traditional styles of beer. So I need to try and get a few more of these Cerny beers in and review some of them for you on the channel. So hopefully I can do that over the coming months and things like that. But I hope you've enjoyed my take on this one, and we'll leave it at that for just now. So this one was the Kozel Cerny from Velkopopovicky Kozel, if I pronounce that, Velkopopovicky Kozel in Velkopopovicky, just outside of Prague in the Czech Republic. So a really nice beer, difficult brewery to pronounce right enough, but thank you once again for watching my beer reviews, and hope you've enjoyed this one. So until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beer from the Kozel range is. It would be quite cool to try a few more of them in the future, so hopefully I can do that. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. So hopefully hear from you guys in the comments. Slàinte just now, Nasdarabi.